a car again. He's
Look at
driving.
He's
Wait
driving.
a minute.
He should be in Pittsburgh. Why is he not in Pittsburgh? If I was covering the Mariners for the Seattle Times and I was the #1 beat writer, I would be in Pittsburgh this weekend. I mean,
Why
the
is
best
that?
pitcher in the National League is going against the best pitcher in the American League, and he's somewhere in fucking Montana?
Jim, they have restraining orders for people like Livy Dunn. They wouldn't allow things like that for you to be there. So,
He doesn't know who Livy Dunn is. He has no idea who that is.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
By the way, I was upset yesterday, Divish, because Dave Wyman. I happened to be listening to that one of the shows I got fired from before the last show I got fired.
It's a long list.
Yeah.
Did he step out on us again?
Wyman called you our guy, Divish. And I'm like, no, it's Puckett's guy, Divish. Okay.
Jeez.
Hey,
unbelievable.
They bought me drinks one time down at spring training, and I still go on when I can. And plus, I make fun of all this. Look, I think we all can agree that Dave Wyman is one of us. He's grouchy. He's older. He likes bourbon. I mean, like, I don't need a lot more of my life than that. You know, he longs for the old days when you could decapitate a player running across the field in football. I mean, those are the things we look for in life.
This is such a treat that we get a bonus Ryan Divish here. I think Divish is doing this so he can not knock out not having to do the regular one later.
No, I'll do the regular. I can. No, this is like crosstalk.
Okay.
This is like crosstalk. I can go, well, I'm gonna I'm gonna do a video and talk about Scott Servais because I don't even know what to say because I can't wait till 3:00. And I don't really like my co-host either, so I'll just talk to a video screen.
Stop it! Stop it!
No, Divish, you're right about that.
You can't do that.
You're right about that.
I mean, Softy hasn't liked anybody that's worked with him for how many years now? Like,
you don't know that.
Remember him and the Red Baron couldn't even get along. I mean, look, Josh was lazy and kind of a goofball, but he's like the nicest guy ever who kicked up in life, who punched up in life.
He was lazy, though.
Oh, yeah, he was unbelievably lazy.
Okay, so okay, you're driving. Is this safe right now, what you're doing?
It's Havre, Montana. The speed limit's 25 in most places. Not even that in a lot of places. So, yes, I'm good. I'm taking my girlfriend's vehicle to the shop. It needs to have something to be serviced.
Jim, you haven't talked to Divish in months. Fire away.
You're in Havre, Montana. Did they rename the high school football field for Ryan Leaf?
No, that's Great Falls is where he's from. Kegel's from Havre. Matt Kegel.
Oh, Kegel's from Havre.
Oh, he is? I didn't know that. I didn't know Matt Kegel's from Havre, Montana.
Yeah,
I love Matt Kegel. I feel bad. I had column regret one time writing about Matt Kegel.
When he lost the Apple Cup?
And I regretted that. I talked to Matt years later about that, telling him how I felt bad about that. I was so happy. Hey, Ryan, I was so happy the next year when he took us to the Holiday Bowl and beat Texas, and he had a great year. That was fun.
That kid took a beating his junior and senior year physically too. Matt, so I had that day that the Cougs lost that Apple Cup. I had Montana, I believe, also lost to Montana State for the first time in like 11 or 12 years. And then I also had a 3-team parlay with $250. I bet $250 on it at 6.5 to 1. And all Matt had to do was just hang on to the lead. And I was dancing. And
did he have a separated shoulder in that Apple Cup?
I think he did later. But, I think, did he fumble right away? Then he threw the pick. And then,
he wasn't ready. And, he was still green, that was a tough spot.
And I was kind of mad at Gesser and at Price because, they put Gesser in a bunch of situations where he could really get hit. And then I was like, what are you doing? You're winning. Just play with the lead. Oh, God, no. That they're trying to get him all conference and who knows what else. And so they rolled him out twice and he got hit. And then I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, but that also authored one of the greatest performances in the history of Cougar football when the man took us to the Rose Bowl with a must-win game at UCLA on a broken leg.
I know,
unbelievable.
He was tough as hell. But I'll say that, all those Cougar quarterbacks, think about the Cougar quarterbacks that they've had that have just taken a beating and just kept playing. What was the kid from Spokane that just got the hell beat out of him? Oh, God. And then
Connor Halliday.
Connor Halliday.
Oh, my God.
Lacerated liver.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then the kid with all the concussions, like, they beat themselves up for that program. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's like you can say that all that you want, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm like slurping the Cougs here.
Yeah. What's going on?
The kids that go end up playing there, and the ones that stay, there's something that really you can tell just means something. It's not a stopover place going to the NFL because a lot of these guys aren't probably going to the NFL, and
Yeah.
so like how they play and everything else, there's like a you can, and that's why they're still pretty loyal to the school as well.
Hey, Jim, ask him a baseball question. You got him for a couple minutes. Come on. No one wants to hear him talk. No one wants to hear him talk about the Cougar quarterback's great. Jesus.
Well, you know why I'm also, Jim, you know why I'm not in Pittsburgh? Because I wasn't in Detroit. And I mean, like, that doesn't make me sad from the city aspect. You know, if you'll notice this year, and a couple of players mentioned it to me, that.
Uh-oh. See?
We lost him.
Yeah, I think we did lose him.
What happened?
Oh, there he is. You're back.
So what are you doing? Are you going to LA?
Yeah, I'm going to LA. And so, yeah, Adam will do Detroit, Cleveland, both Houston trips in St. Louis. So, I mean, and he's done an Oakland trip. So, you know, like, that's the hazing aspect of this. He has to do the crappy trips, and I get to do the good ones.
Okay. All right. So you don't feel guilty that you're the number one beat writer and that you're not there for these games?
No, after like 5 or 6 seasons of doing all 81 road games and doing serious damage to my liver, I don't know. I don't have any. I have no guilt anymore. You know, I don't have any regrets about the job. I mean, it's like, do you regret getting wasted that time at the Hydros and then not being able to make it?
Oh, you remember that? Yeah, that was my most unprofessional moment as a journalist. I wrote the story from my hotel bedroom there.
And who fed you the quotes? Did you call the PR person?
John Peoples from the Seattle Times, and then Steve Turcotte was working for the Hydros Association.
I mean, like, we're talking about a national award-winning Hydros writer that couldn't even get out of bed.
That's
but then
right.
again,
he got in the Hall of Fame.
You know, I mean, like,
I still wrote a hell of a story, though. That was one of my finest moments as a journalist.
Yeah, it's right up there with Grantland Rice. I mean, it's right there. So go ahead, Jim. What do you got for?
Yeah, ask him if firing Scott Servais would mean anything.
I've got like a question about Scott Servais and Jerry Dipoto, because I'm thinking more and more about it. Like Pete Carroll, the Seahawks finally decided, you know what, Pete's a good coach, but we're kind of in the middle here, and we need to move on. And if we're gonna, maybe we'll fall back with McDonald, but maybe we'll go to greater heights with this new younger coach. I mean, Dipoto and Servais have been here for 9 years, and Puckett just talked about it. You know, ownership has got them handcuffed a little bit with what they can do roster-wise. But do you think it would be in their best interest at some point, like if they don't make the playoffs this season, do you think that it's time to make a move?
Well, I think if they don't make the postseason, they probably will make a move. I'd be stunned. I mean, like, I guess they could exercise the option for next year and let them do a lame duck year and try and prove it. But, you know, I mean, it's kind of the ownership's call. And the ownership has to take some culpability in the predicament that they're in. You know, it was nice adding Randy Rosarena and Justin Turner, but like, if they had just added more to start the season, if they'd been better in the offseason or given them more wiggle room, I think we both all would agree that they would be better than what they are right now, because they would have better bats so that 10-game lead wouldn't have dissipated. I mean, I haven't looked up the numbers. I was going to do this before I went out with Puck, but the number of games where they've scored 2 runs or fewer is just absurd. So I don't know. I mean, like, I guess they could do it. You know, John Stanton, I think we all know that this Mariners ownership group can sometimes be loyal to a fault. And I guess sometimes it's also like being around this. Since I got here in 2006, I've covered Pavese, and then Pelikutis was the interim, and then Jack Z, Kingston was the interim, and then Jerry, and I covered 8 managers. We're like, is it really that? Is it the managers or the players' fault? I mean, like, realistically, this regime has gotten more success than any of the other ones in terms of getting more winning seasons and getting to the postseason. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's a hard look in the mirror. Is it the fault of the manager and the GM? Is it the fault of your ownership for not willing to invest? I mean, I've said it before. The Mariners ownership can sit there and say that they want to win, They want to win. Yeah, we want to win. They don't have the courage to do what it takes to win. They don't have the courage to invest their own money into upping the payroll and investing and doing what it takes to win. And maybe you can't get these guys, maybe not. But there are ways you can do that. Like if you want to make this place more attractive to free agents, then it costs money. It's not just the contract. What do you do to make it more attractive to free agents? Like Puckett's talked about, get them a special plane. If they got to if they're going to travel more than anybody else, get a different plane. Don't just use the cheap Delta, or just don't use the standard Delta or Alaska charter that you get. Spice it up, make it better, do something to attract these guys. It costs money. That's what the bigger problem is. And they can't sit there and say, look, I don't give a shit about Root. I mean, I care about Root in the sense that I have friends that work there, but how many crowds have they had over 27,000 this year? I mean, that's the thing. How much money are they making? Yeah, they may have lost money on the halfback, which we all kind of know they lost money on that, but they're making money on the stadium. They're making money on the product, And so it's like, I guess I feel sorry for Scott and Jerry in the sense that like maybe they could have done more if they'd been given more. But right now, this is where they're at. And I'm sure they've said, hey, look, we can work within this. We can find a way to win within this. And that's what they always believed. You just do it smarter or better or whatever. But, they aren't winning. And that's the problem. They're not winning, and they're struggling to kind of get any traction. We knew this would come, this stretch where they would struggle again. But, man, like, it's just come at the worst time where Houston's gotten hot. And I don't know. I mean, can they recover? Nothing we've seen, other than the fact of how Bryce Miller and Brian Wu pitched, says to me, oh, yeah, they can overcome a 3-game deficit. Other than that, the pitching. Nothing about the offense. And this is with Randy Arozarena, and this is with sort of Julio back. Like, they've done this to themselves. They put themselves in this position, and now they got to figure it out. But, it is kind of like firing Scott and Jerry, because, like, people will say, oh, well, Scott lost that game. No, they got one goddamn hit. That's how you lose a game. You got one hit. Yeah, I'm sorry. Right. Like, you may not have liked the bullpen strategy, but the bullpen strategy that they've had to run out there is basically, we're just trying to survive because we don't know if we're going to hit. And when you don't score in the top of the 10th, and that's happened 2 times, they're going to lose almost 60% of the time. I mean, when you're the road team and you don't score, you're screwed. I don't care how good your bullpen is.
Yeah, the other day, or the game on Thursday. So the Miller thing, and people complaining about leave him in, leave him in the game. You can't have it both ways, because you went out and acquired this Yimi Garcia, who's an excellent reliever. He should have been able to take care of the 8th inning for you. But and then you hand it over to Munoz, and the fact is that they just. Nothing is going right for them. You're right. I mean, they didn't lose this series. They didn't get swept because of their pitching and their bullpen decision. They swept because their offense stinks.
They hit .098 in the series. .098. That's like Jim's alcohol level most days.
No, he's cut back. He's cut back.
Well, it's because it's.
I've been lately I've been drinking every day though. I mean, not that much,
geez.
But yeah.
Hey, I got the stat for you if you want, because I saw this on Twitter last night.
Oh, Arkins, I think I saw posted the number of 2 runs. They scored 2 runs.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. Jim, I don't know if
this is actually
this is from Luke.
As somebody
Arkins.
who watches it, it's very believable.
But it's. I mean, when I saw this last time, I'm like, that is unbelievable. So, Jim, from Luke Arkins, you can follow Luke on Twitter at Luke_Arkins. Most quality starts with 2 or fewer runs scored by the starter's offense. Seattle, 28 leaders in the clubhouse. Okay, next is Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay at 16. The Mariners' record in those games, 6-22.
They've lost more than 22 qualities. They're 6-22. I think they've lost something like 27 quality starts of the 60-some that they got, or 70-some.
Jesus, God, that's so bad.
I got a kick out of it yesterday. I was listening to the post game show on 710, and they had to pull out. They actually used the highlight of the bases loaded walk
That's all there was.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all they could use.
That's another thing.
Scored a run. That's all they
get bases
scored.
low there, they got to get more is the problem. They've had some tough breaks too, but like this is what that's why I don't get, like, everybody gets so upset about these bullpen decisions. But like, you're working with the slimmest of margins at all times, and you really only have like two guns you can fire. You have Munoz and you have Yimi Garcia. The rest of them haven't been that great. So you're just like,
well, Snyder's
been good. But he's not your classic leverage guy. And
you're right.
And he's been. You take him over the rest of what you got. I mean, like, you ride the hot hand, and they rode the hot hand, and he got beat the other day. So it's like, because like people say, well, why didn't you pitch Munoz again? Well, the odds of you winning that game are pretty slim, anyways. And then you come back and you had him available for yesterday, so he could pitch.
Yeah.
If he pitches two in the game before, then you don't have him for the next day when you only score one run. So I mean, to me, if you don't score 3 runs in a game minimum, and that's still too low. If you don't score 3 runs in a game, then you can't bitch about the pitching or the pitching decisions. You lose the game because you only scored 3 runs.
Okay, Ryan, if you had been there yesterday, Puck and I were talking about this a little while ago. If you had been there when Scott Servais said, I have a good offensive club, would you have called him on that, or would you have restrained a snicker, or what would you have done? I mean, does he bristle much at you guys? Because clearly this is not a good offensive club. I understand him feeling that way or trying to fake like he feels that way, but I would have appreciated if some reporter there had said, what the hell are you talking about, Scott? Or Skip? I mean, you don't have a good offensive team.
Yep.
And if you don't believe that, let me trot these stats out for you, and then hold your phone up to him and show him, that they're hitting 216 or whatever.
I think it's more like he's telling himself that so he can believe. I think, we all know that they're not good.
Yeah.
I think they have the potential to be good, but we've been saying that all year. This is who they are. I mean, maybe when they get Julio to 100%, if he ever gets that, and get JP back, maybe. But, they're just going to be inconsistent at times. For whatever reason, they're in that stretch where they're just striking out a ton. I mean, I didn't think the strikeouts were as bad. It's more when the strikeouts have come. But, we just, you kind of knew that Randy Rosarena wasn't just him and Turner weren't going to fix this. They just make it marginally better, because we said all you're looking for is to make them a half a run better per game, and they've been that way early on, but they haven't been all the time.
I'm curious what you guys think of the criticism that I've seen on social media with fans and media about the Julio Rodriguez rushing him back. Divish, you and I talked about this on Wednesday, and you told me then, hey, listen, they just don't. These rehab assignments are kind of going away. They're not doing these rehab assignments so much anymore. Now it depends on how long the guy's out. Like, I assume when JP comes back, he's going to get a rehab assignment.
He has to go play the field too. JP's going to play the field.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly right. So what I don't understand about this, here's a guy. Listen, there's plenty of criticism of Julio, and he hasn't had a good season. What I don't understand is this criticism of him trying to come back and contribute to the team when he's not 100% healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so he knows he can do one thing, and that one thing is hit, but he can't run, he can't play the field. But his desire as a competitor is to come back and contribute to the team. And instead of let's celebrate that a little bit, I'm gonna defend him here. Let's celebrate a guy that is willing to come back not 100% to try and help the team. Now we just crap on him to say, what are they doing? This is a mistake. What's going on? But yet it's that same fan or media member that celebrates Russell Wilson, who plays a week later on the same injury. Oh, he's such a tough guy. What a gamer. Yeah. God, he putting team above himself. What did we like? I don't understand the criticism of Julio wanting to play and contribute, to this team.
Puck, I'm torn on that. I heard your daily Puck drop yesterday, and I heard where you feel, where you stand on that. Is there a chance though that he could hurt himself a little more and not get to 100% as a result of playing right now? And if you told me he was going to be 100% for the Dodgers series if he hadn't played the last week, I would take that over what we're seeing right now, because what is he? I mean, he doesn't even look like, what do you think he is, 60%, 70? And he seems like he's in pain, and then, getting out of the way of the pitch. I don't know. I think I don't think I think it's fair to be critical of it. I mean, if you wonder about your superstar contributing down the stretch, if you told me you could have him 100%, if he waited another week, then I would take that over like, oh, tough guy Julio getting out there and helping the team. I understand where you're coming from, but I want to see 100% Julio. I don't want to see this 70%.
He's never going
to
get back to 100% this season. I mean, he's just not. It's a high ankle sprain. He's going to have to play through it. How many stories did we write about Cal Raleigh's thumb? Torn ligaments in his thumb. Caught the entire last, how many games? 45 games of that season. You know, you talk about, and it's like, oh, well, what does it matter? Well, there's a guy that has a statue out there that could only hit, couldn't run, and couldn't field by the end of his career, and you still wanted him in the lineup. I'm not saying Julio's Edgar, but they need something at this point, and the kid is trying to tough his way through it. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there. And there is a line, but he's just hitting. He's not hurting you in the field. I think the circumstances surrounding it, because he came back for Sunday Night Baseball and everybody saw the ulterior motives. So what? Everybody has ulterior motives to everything they do. It's like, it's like the people who sit there and say, oh yeah, well, loyalty, I wouldn't have done it for the money. Hell yes, you'd do it for the money. Okay? I mean, like, I don't, it's fine. We pick and choose who we want to celebrate and who we want to criticize, a lot of times based on personal opinions on other things or just the recency bias of what's happened. But there has been a segment of the fan base that's turned on Julio pretty quickly because they expect so much.
Oh, yeah.
And that there was plenty of people who said, it's only an ankle sprain. I thought it was only going to be out 10 days. Why is this taking so long? So here's a guy that's trying to come back, trying to contribute, still a great teammate.
Exactly.
When he struck out 5 times, he was so happy for his teammates and everything else and going crazy for Robles and for Polanco. Because you don't want to be the guy that people think is soft either. You want to play, and I think he thinks he can help. He sees what's happening. He sees the free fall. He's like, well, I better try and do something. That's that sense of responsibility we talk about.
Hey, yeah. Ryan, you're with him all the time. Is he going to be, if you had to choose between good player career-wise, great player career-wise, or superstar, where are you on Julio right now?
I think he's between great and superstar. I just think he works so hard at it. I think part of the problem is he got away from kind of what made him good, trying to be better, and that didn't work. And we've seen that happen. See it happen to Corbin Carroll. Players go through this. Some players have struggles in a season, and it doesn't go right, whether it's injury or mistakes. Mike Trout had some stuff like that. Aaron Judge has dealt with stuff like that, injuries and such. So it's going to be. I think the one thing about Julio is you wonder, because he plays so hard in the field and because he attacks the baseball in the outfield and things like that, if he's going to be prone to stuff like this every once in a while. But no, I think he's going to be closer to a superstar than he is just an average player. You don't have that kind of talent. You don't do what he did in his first 2 years and put up those kinds of numbers and finish in the top 10 MVP without being pretty good and having the ability to continue to do it over a long period.
You think they've got one more good stretch in them here? I mean, listen, 3 games, I don't know why this feels. 3 games to me feels like 6 or 7. I feel this just like pit in my stomach. They're not going to be able to overcome this. Divish, do you think with their pitching, they've got one more run in here and that 3 games is not as bad as maybe that I'm thinking
if they
it
can
is?
Continue to get pitching and they just do something better than they've been offensively, yeah, they've shown the ability to win with the bare minimum. They've shown the ability to win when they get 3 to 4 runs per game. That's all they're asking for.
Yeah.
And that's on the offense. I mean, like, you can't point anywhere else. And whether or not, Scott can believe it, but the results say it's not a good offense right now. And, you've seen signs of it, but the signs of, what's kind of crazy is we're seeing this all around baseball now, though, is like some of these teams that, no team has really just been good all year. Not the Phillies, not the Dodgers. Everybody's had these stretches. I think It's just a little more parity. You're seeing more down offensive numbers than you've seen because I don't know what it is. I think it's adjusted. I heard Passan talking about this and I kind of looked it up, but the league batting average and league on base percentage is essentially the same that it was 2 years ago before the shift changes. So
nothing's really helped.
Would you bet on Gilbert tonight as an underdog?
Yeah, why not? I mean, like, Why not? I mean, Skeens is really good, but like the one thing is Sean, if you can get some traffic on him, you can score on him. He's not Superman. But then again, against this offense isn't exactly, the average either. So
could be no hitter alert tonight. Hey, by the way, the total is 6.5 tonight on that. Everyone that's playing along with the Bet M Summer Under Tour. 39, 44, and 2 on the season. Hey, Divish, this was fun. Thank you for doing it. Let's just call this our Friday visit, and you relax. That was plenty. We'll use this for our Friday podcast. You're the best. Say bye to Jim. Bye, Jim. Of course, Divish joins us every Wednesday and Friday, brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Thank you, Div.
I love you, Ryan.
Love you too.
Yeah, there.